Hello, I'm Gary Quinn, and welcome to another episode of Ready, Set, Live. Gratitude is a practice that allows us to be grateful for everything in life. Everything we do should be a result of our gratitude. My guest today is Lezza Gibbons, who has always been filled with gratitude and kindness. Lezza is an Emmy Award-winning host, journalist, New York Times bestselling author, health advocate, wife, and mother. She has always been a source of inspiration to empower women to show up for their lives with confidence, strength, and pride. Don't go away. I'll be right back with Lezza. Welcome to the show, my favorite person in the world, Lezza.
Oh, that's so kind. How are you, my friend?
I am great. I just never have forgotten your kindness and gratitude. I still have the letter you sent me when you were at Lezza, when
Come
I
on.
sent you the CDs. And I'm just always inspired by you and all the things that you do. I know you do so many things, and you have the great foundations, and you've got the Memory Foundation, the Caregivers Foundation. All of this, I think, has put you in a place of, what would you call yourself? I think you're more than just all those titles. I think you're just the word inspiration at its best.
That's a very high compliment and serious praise coming from you. So I will just redirect all those lovely things you said about me back to you. I think that what you hit upon, though, is our steps and our movements and our emotions and our intention in life really does matter. And we don't always know how that's going to land. We don't know how that's going to affect other people. And so if you can remind ourselves, which we try to do, to be aware of just that. So when you talk about titles or roles in life, I think we're all just trying hard. My mother's advice was always show up, do your best, let go of the rest. And that's sometimes hard, that letting go part, but I've always found it to be a really solid advice.
And I know, Lezza, during this pandemic situation, everybody, I believe, has had to reevaluate their lives and look at it. What was the
Mhm.
biggest lesson that you learned during these last 3 years?
I think it's just a reaffirming of the principle of enough. We get very trapped in comparing ourselves to others or comparing ourselves to who we used to be. And it's easy to be seduced by that. When we were younger, when we had a better body, when we made more money, when we were married, when the kids were little, whatever it is that we have told ourselves was a better version of who we are, is what causes us to, I think, get stuck. And the pandemic allowed us all to change as we grow inward. If you are stale and static, it makes you boring and bitter. And so I think it, at least for me, it really encouraged me to stay on my path of change, to look at, like, let's, invite change to sit at the table, pour it a cup of tea and say, okay, now, what have you come to teach me this time? Let me be open to that. And I think along the way, there are two F words that have served me really well. One is flexibility and the other is forgiveness. And they were both challenged big time, as they are every day. But for most of us, I think we were severely challenged during the pandemic to see how flexible and how forgiving could we be.
Yes, and I think at the bottom of that line is the only thing really important is love. Um, I mean, you're not going to take away your title, your best-selling books, your money, your watches. We're really going to take away the experience we have in this moment, with the people you love. And I think we need to all value that and look at this as an opportunity to grow. But also, forgiveness is a sense of any spiritual alignment to heal. You cannot have more love unless you have more forgiveness. Um,
Yes.
and so would you say, I know you grew up in the South, and you've always had that Southern authenticity, which is so appealing. When you were a little girl, did you say, I'm going to be a journalist, or what was the trust or the motivation? Did you do anything, or you just said, I'm going to do it? What was the belief in little Lezza?
I got super lucky, Gary, because there was a turning point moment in my life that my mother really capitalized on, I think, quite brilliantly, just with her instinct and her loving each of her three children. I have a big brother and a little sister, and she loved us all. I always think it's weird to say equally or the same. She loved us differently because we were different kids and we needed different things. So, what I needed in the sixth grade, growing up in South Carolina, was a talent. And we had a talent show at school, and I had no talent. Truly, I have no talent. I can't whistle. I can't twirl a baton. And we had a talent show at school, and I was feeling a tremendous amount of pressure about that. So I came home, crying, which never went over big with my mother. She was very no nonsense. But I came home really feeling very sorry for myself and kind of weepy about it. Like, what am I going to do? And she said, shush up. Lezza Kim, shush up. You've got a talent. And I went, what? I don't have a talent. My friends were like playing piano and they were dancing. And, if anyone who saw my season on Dancing with the Stars, you know that I truly can't dance. I don't have that talent. But my mother said something to me that was just quite remarkable. She goes, you do have a talent. And I think she made it up, honestly, Gary, but she goes, you do have a talent. You're a storyteller. And you're going to go in front of that class and you're going to tell the best story of your life. Well, for me, that was such a game changer. I put on that label because, we tend to incorporate the labels that people assign to us, especially when we're young. And it was such a powerful, open-ended label for me. Like, oh my gosh, what? I'm a storyteller. And that's when I realized I could be a journalist. I could tell stories, the stories of other people. And it didn't matter to me as the years went by, the platform, the venue, the format. If I could talk to somebody and get their story, that was very nurturing to me. And I have my mom to thank for it.
But isn't it great that, so many kids are, unfortunately, they don't have a mom or dad to say those things. And I bet your kids are probably so lucky to have you as a mom, because what your mom inspired you probably inspired them tenfold. And I know that interview that you said the most difficult person was Betty Davis. Oh my God, that must have been intense.
Interviewing Betty Davis is the ultimate example of, we talk about the energy, like you and I have nice energy and we're feeding off each other. And I feel that you want me to come off and be my best self. And I feel the same for you. Betty White didn't necessarily have that. Betty White had it in spades. Betty Davis.
We love Betty
really
White.
Have that. She, I wanted to make her feel comfortable, and I believe in meeting people where they are. So I was trying to chat her up, and she wasn't having it. If the tally light wasn't on, she wasn't in relationship with me. And I gave her, I was scared to death of her, but I gave her tremendous respect, I hope. And I give her props in that this is a woman that has, been there, done that. It's embroidered on the pillow. And she has been interviewed and asked every question in the world a million times. And so I tried to be aware of that factor with her. And, but I had to pull out from my toes my self-worth and realize that I wasn't depending upon what she was giving me back in that moment. I had to rely on myself to know that I was worthy, that I would do the best I could do, and I hoped my best would end up being good enough.
And she loved you, really.
Well, I don't know about that. She did give me credit for doing a good job, which, that was like, I wore that as a cherry on top of everything. But, you talked about people who don't have inspirers or nurturers or people that guide them throughout their life. For many of us, it's our parents, or often we find those in other people. But I, as a young woman, did something then that I encourage people to do now, and I've continued ever since, and that's pick some pace setters. And for me, these are people who have something that I want in life. I want to be like them. They have a quality or a value or something that I would also like to have. And I try to look at how did they get there? What can I learn from them? How can they set the pace for me along my journey? And way before I met the two individuals that were on my pace setter list, way before I ever met them, they were inspiring me. One is Olivia Newton-John, and the other was Dick Clark. And this, young girl from South Carolina, when I graduated from college, Grease was a big movie. And Olivia, while I never aspired to be a singer, I did love her way in the world. I still do. Her light, her goodness, her sweetness, her kindness, her reputation for having such integrity. And so I thought, what can I learn from her? And Dick Clark was doing the thing that I wanted to do. He was the host of hosts. He got to interview everyone.
Wow.
And so I looked at those two people and I thought, what can I take from them on my journey? And then lo and behold, I became an entertainment reporter and was assigned to do interviews with both of them. I became friends with both of them and worked with both of them. And that's a real testament to dreams really do come true.
Well, I think that's what I think we have to all inspire each other, that it's never too late. A lot of people go through their lives and they say, I've done this, I've done that. But really, this is a school. We're always learning, we're always developing. And I'm constantly learning with all these cultures that I get to travel to these countries. I almost feel like I'm the ambassador of the United Nations when I go to these places, but I'm bringing love, I'm bringing healing. And I think those people gave you, as Lezza being that entertainment reporter, a sense of growth, almost like a B12 shot. And I think we need that in life. And it's so wonderful it's a big family. And I think people should get out of the fear of not really being themselves or honoring this about people. And I know that when you were doing all of this, you were also raising a family. Was there any stress that when you were an entertainment reporter and you were doing all these things that all of a sudden you said, oh my God, I have a family, I'm a mom too? How did you juggle that? I mean, having kids is, oh my God, it's so difficult.
It's so wonderful. It's so difficult. And men and women juggle it, but the men don't often get asked in the same way. And the responsibilities still are often fall not equally. We're getting there. I think that there's been a lot of leaning in, if you will, toward recognizing that we don't have true gender equality until we have that division of responsibilities and that duty and honor of equally contributing to bringing up children. But I really think, Gary, that this whole notion that there is balance is not really true. I don't think that there is work-life balance. I don't think there's a middle of the seesaw. And I think that when we strive for that, we just end up feeling like epic failures in our own lives because, I'd rather look at it as investing rather than trying to balance. So if you're working a lot, you're investing in being the breadwinner for your family, creating a better future for your children, growing yourself so that you can have that as a model for your children. And hopefully you're buying yourself some autonomy. That's what I tried to do along with my professional career. And I know that a lot of people don't have or don't think they have, and maybe they truly are not as able to ask for what they want as I was along the way. But when you have kids, you get courage that you didn't know you ever had. And I know everybody who's a parent can relate to that. And so I really looked at work and life is very fluid for me, and how you do one thing is how you do everything. And if you're going to have integrity in your work life and you're going to show up and you're going to be responsible and you're going to hold up your end of the bargain, that's just how you're going to be as a parent. It's when those things are in conflict that we begin to feel the stress. So I was really incredibly blessed, very fortunate to be able to say, look, when I was producing my talk show, we're going to have this particular schedule because I'm nursing a baby. I need to have a playroom on the set so my kids can be there. I know that is not possible for a lot of people. But when we can ask for what we need to do to be better employers, then our employees will see that, women especially, we'll bend over backwards and do cartwheels and whatever we need to do to be great at our jobs. But first, you have to give us what we need to be great at our primary responsibility, and that's being parent.
Exactly. I agree with that. What do you think the most common reason that individuals are unhappy? There's a lot of unhappy people out there still. What do you think causes that?
Gosh, that's a big old complicated answer, multifaceted. I think at the core, when we fail to honor promises we make to ourselves, that's, I think, a tremendous source of unhappiness. And when we fail to connect with other people and we get isolated, we're hardwired to care. We're hardwired to connect. And when those things are absent from the equation, we don't operate effectively. And that's a lot of what happened too during the pandemic. I think that we have to summon our strength and call on our courage every day. And when we can invest in our own, you mentioned growth earlier. I think that if we say to ourselves, well, I'm going to be a person with more grace and offer more forgiveness. I'm going to be a person who is more accountable. I'm going to be respectful of other people's time. I'm going to offer more empathy in the world. Whatever it is we say that we want to do, and we make that kind of covenant with ourselves, that promise to ourselves. When we deliver on that promise, we are very proud, right? And I think that's the source of happiness. When we're able to deliver on who we want to be. And so when we can't do that or don't do that, I think sometimes we just have to break up with ourselves. I really do. I think like exactly. A bad boyfriend, you just have to say, okay, that was then. Who you are today is not who you have to be tomorrow. And sometimes you have to let go of those old labels, keep the ones that fit. For me, storyteller, thank you, Mom, every day. Keep those labels that fit. But the other ones that may have been assigned to you or that you gave to yourself because you were uncomfortable, let go of those things. I'm a big believer in starting over. With our technology, we're really comfortable with this, right? We know that if our computers aren't running properly, we hit restart, or we delete some programs or something. If we know our own operating system, we could do the same thing. I always say when things don't add up, we have to start subtracting. And sometimes I think the source of unhappiness is we have people in our lives that don't reflect our values and our morals. And we have to remind ourselves that we have the ability to edit them, to delete their program from our operating system.
Correct. And that's why it's mind, body, spirit. What you think, you become. What you eat, you become. What you do is what you become, and who you surround yourself, and your mental, let's say, growth is all about results. And that's why you're always continuing to do mind, body, spirit wellness. You've got this talk to me about the openfit.com. That is so intriguing and cool. And it's the celebrity walk, but I know it's a whole system. Tell me about it. It sounds exciting.
Because my mother had Alzheimer's, my grandmother had Alzheimer's, I stepped into a space in life to look at how we help families like ours that were struggling along the way. And that's the work that led me to create our Memory Foundation, where we support family caregivers. This, every step, is an extension of my desire to offer something to help people bolster their journey, their brain health journey, so that we may not be as susceptible to neurological decline, depression, and that feeling of isolation. If you ask a brain doctor or a general practitioner what their number one prescription is, often they will tell you walking, right? Well, if you can walk with friends and talk about things that matter to you, that's a trifecta of support, and power. So that's what Every Step is. As you said, it's on the openfit.com platform. So if you join Every Step, you join a walking community of people like me and many others who find it to be a real sanity sanctuary for them. But you get a live personal trainer in your ear while you're walking, and you can do walks that are themed, like aging powerfully, or trivia walks, or scavenger hunts. And then you can also do walks that are the amount of time that you have. You have 15 minutes, you have 25 minutes. Pick your time of day, pick your trainer, put your shoes on and go. You know, we get stuck feeling like, well, I'm not fit enough, or I have too much weight to lose, or I can't get started on a fitness program. Everybody can walk. Most everyone can walk. And if you can, then you can do Every Step. And so I love it because you get to connect with people all over the world who are also walking at the same time as you. So you have friends in the UK and friends in Scotland and all over the world who are walking, and you can snap pictures and put them in the chat and share where you are. It's just, it's a lot of fun. It's great for your brain, great for your mental health.
And also you're getting exercise, so you're going to lose weight.
Well, that's the thing, along the way, if you gained weight or you lost confidence, if you feel like you're stuck, if you're depressed, there's a way to get started on a journey to reclaim those parts of yourself. And I say that walking, whether you join Every Step or not, but walking can be a big part of building back your confidence, being proud of yourself, taking that one step in front of the other, which is all we really have, isn't it?
And I love when you said purpose drives happiness. It's all in the same alignment, with even the caregivers, motto of everything that you support for them, the exercise, the mental fitness.
If you are a husband, wife, son, or daughter of someone who has a chronic illness or a disease like Alzheimer's, you know what it feels like when that disease breaks into your family structure and it begins to cause you to unravel spiritually and emotionally, physically, financially. And when it happened with us, with my mom, who obviously was such an important compass in my life, and she still is. We lost her in 2008. She's my forever Jiminy Cricket. When it happened to us, we began to feel all of those burdens that caregivers feel, that family caregivers feel, overwhelmed, misunderstood, angry, depressed. And all of us in our family, we kind of went to our own corners and just kind of licked our wounds. And that's why I started what is now called Lezza's Care Connection, because it's what we wish we had in the world, a place where others who'd walk the path could see you, could validate you, and we could offer, which we do, free services and programs and tips and strategies and techniques and ways to navigate this very difficult journey. I know it's been said that, after a storm, you get the strength that comes from navigating through the other side of that storm. And what you do then is you raise your sail and you get on with it. Well, that's easier said than done. So we created a place where people could get on with it, knowing that they weren't alone, knowing that they could take the next step, feeling supported and feeling safe, and having a plan to be more confident and more competent while they cared for someone they love. Because my belief, Gary, is that you can hold on to yourself, even if you have to let go of someone that you love. You can focus on what's left and not what's lost.
And I think it's also, we're spirit, so people never die. We never die. They're always with us. That's why I say love is all there is in this lifetime, and your mom is around you constantly. And I'm sure she's going, go, Lezza, go. You're a storyteller, go. It's such a wonderful thing to know that there is such longevity in this lifetime, and we cannot take anything for granted, ever. And I always say, in this little quote I wrote was, in every moment is a new beginning. And in this moment is the moment I'm having with someone I haven't seen in a long time, but I've always loved you. And I know that it's always about just really trusting that and really knowing that we're here to inspire people, but also to love people.
Yes. And thank you for saying all of that and for reminding everyone who is listening to you and who watches you and follows the interviews that you do, that it does all come down to that. And one of the things that I relate to about you, and I think a lot of people watching and listening now can too, is you have a choice to be optimistic or not. And I think that we tend to be very dismissive and say, oh, optimism, yeah, that's, positive self-talk or whatever. Optimism is a mental competence, and it ties you to your resilience, and it allows you not just to see things more positively, but it allows you to stimulate your brain in such a way that it connects you to finding solutions faster. Who wouldn't want that? It's not that optimists don't have bad things happen and don't see that there is darkness in the world. It's just that there's also this hope and belief that we can manage it, that we're going to be okay, and that we can, in many cases, get to the other side of it. So I call it like the Tigger Effect. We bounce forward. And yes, we bounce. Yes, things are going to hit us. But I do believe that when you walk on the sunny side of the street, the shadows are behind you.
Well, I want to thank you for spending this time with me. I believe you are a shining star that continues to empower people worldwide. And anything I can support you, because I'm your biggest fan.
Now yours.
And openfit.com/Lezza is available online, or people can go to lezzagibbons.com or follow you on Instagram. And I'm so thankful to reconnect and have this time with you, Lezza. And I wish you so much love. And thank you so much for the time today.
It has truly been my pleasure and honor. And I hope to see you in person soon. It has been way too long. But till then, stay well and keep moving ever forward as you do.
Thank you. I'm Gary Quinn. Thank you for joining me on this episode of Ready, Set, Live. Until next time, be well.